Guess who is a real big winner in the LA riots? Gavin Newsom. Coming up, I'll tell you how Gavin Newsom is benefiting from the riots in LA and why you can expect him to stir up a lot more controversy, violence, and mayhem in the coming weeks and months. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California and a California state legislator. And I warned you about this when we started seeing these riots and protests in LA. And we saw Gavin Newsom literally inciting bad behavior. He was literally saying, ICE agents are arresting people just because of their skin color, which is a lie, but that's also very incendiary rhetoric. When you paint ICE dishonestly, but intentionally as thugs and brutes and the evil doers, then people who are misfits think that it's justified to take matters into their own hands. The ends justify the means. They're fighting evil. They're the good guy. They can be a hero. It's a legitimate uprising. Newsom knows that. Newsom knows that he's pouring gasoline on a fire. And so we now know why. I mean, Newsom is a very clever, very dishonest and craven political operator, but he's very clever. You see, Gavin Newsom's political fortunes have not been faring well in his race for president. And what he's been doing, not only on the LA riots, but on a whole swath of other controversial issues, is he's playing politics, and it's working for him. In a moment, I'll give you the data that shows that. But look, at Reform California, we are leading the fight to expose Gavin Newsom, his failures, his corruption, and to make sure that we build a dirt file on this guy. We do not want Gavin Newsom to be president. We do not want him to hold any office ever again. And we believe by making the case against Gavin Newsom, we also boost chances that we may be able to flip seats here in California in the midterm election. Because technically he's the leader of the California Democrat Party. And everyone can think about him when they're voting for whoever the next governor is, or the attorney general, secretary of state, or, yes, even members of Congress and the state legislature. We have a campaign underway called Expose Gavin Newsom. Check it out at reformcalifornia.org, reformcalifornia.org. As I mentioned, we are building a dirt file against this SOB. To be part of our growing movement, to hold him accountable, and to take back California from the left, go to that website, reformcalifornia.org, and sign up at the bottom. First name, last name, email, phone, and zip code. Here's why. We need to build a political movement statewide, and Reform California is doing just that. We need you to be involved, though. If you're not signed up and tethered, if you're not going to get the information, if you're not getting the information, you're not going to know what's going on in your area, what candidates we're endorsing, what political opportunities there are in your area, what controversial laws are being proposed, either at your city council or at the state level. You got to get engaged and tethered in to getting the information that you need to make a difference. So do it. Go on that website, reformcalifornia.org. Sign up now. First name, last name, email, phone, and zip code. Also, while you're there, please consider chipping in a contribution. We are funded only by the generous support of grassroots contributors like yourself. I always joke, put $5 of California priced, put a gallon of California priced gas in our car. Fuel our movement, which is about $5 to $7, depending upon where you live, sadly. All right, so let's get right into it. Gavin Newsom's political fortunes are rising based on the LA riots, as well as a number of other controversial fights that he is intentionally picking with Gavin Newsom. And I told you that this was happening weeks ago because we detected a very marked shift with Gavin Newsom. Remember, back in February, March, he launched that nauseating podcast of his. Hi, it's Gavin Newsom, or I don't know, bedtime stories with Gavin Newsom, or whatever. Slick hair with Gavin Newsom. Aren't I pretty? Isn't Gavin Newsom, gorgeous with Gavin Newsom? Starring Gavin Newsom and special guest appearance by Gavin Newsom. Anyway, I mock him because he's mock worthy. He did this podcast, and what he did on the podcast is he invited a bunch of Republicans, and then he moderated his views. Well, as I shared with you at the time in March, his polling numbers went down into the crapper. And it's because he didn't understand that you're not the nominee of the Democrat Party yet, buddy. You still have to run a partisan Democrat primary in 2028 to become president. And you playing footsie and pretending to be a quasi-moderate conservative ain't going over well with the people you need votes from in the primary. You're not going to be able to win a general election if you're not the nominee. And the reason why he made this fatal error in doing his podcast and becoming so quote unquote conservative, and don't buy it for a moment because nothing's legitimate or authentic with this guy. He's a liar. When his mouth is moving, he's lying. The reason why he was doing that is that he's so arrogant. He's like, oh, of course I'm going to be the next nominee for the presidential cycle in 2028 for the Democrats. Of course, everyone loves me. Of course, can't you see it? And he's out there reaching for general election votes, and the Democrat voters are like, no way, no mas. So now he's course correcting. And that course correction is all about stunts, dishonest stunts, dangerous stunts, stunts that hurt your interests. Has nothing to do with him serving California or serving you. Okay? Riling up rioters in LA does not serve anyone's interest but Gavin Newsom's. It hurts people. It puts people in grave danger. It certainly hurts our law enforcement members, puts their lives in danger. Trying to, create controversy over gender, or go out there and sue the Trump administration at every turn. All of that has to deal with chasing headlines, not working hard to make your life better. And so Gavin Newsom started doing this. He wanted to be the anti-Trump for the last several months. And the polling is now showing that he's seeing a tick up in particularly in light of in the wake of the riots. First, can we actually make it quite clear? Let you in on a little secret. You ready for the secret? I know this is going to be a shocker for all of you. You ready for it? Gavin Newsom is thinking about running for president. And look here, this is aren't they so cute? Cal Matters, the liberal blog, has a headline: Gavin Newsom finally admits he's contemplating a run for president. Oh, wow. You're just waking up to that. Of course, he's running for president. He did an interview with the Wall Street Journal. Quote, responding to a question about his presidential ambitions, Newsom said, I'm not thinking about running, but it's a path I could see unfold. If everyone comes to me and begs me, if the masses demand it, maybe it would be a path that I might consider. Bitch, please. You spend every waking moment thinking about being president. You know it. Everyone else knows it. The idea that he's, I'm not thinking about running for president. Who, me? I'll just be sitting out here in the waiting room of the DNC in case anyone walks by with my signs for president, but I'm not running for president. No. He's a liar. This guy, it's so embarrassing. But the media doesn't even call him out on it. I'm not even thinking, heaven forbid. Gambling in Las Vegas? No. But he's now acknowledging, yes, he's running for president. And he's been trying to reinvent himself. As California Globe picked this up this week, reinventing Gavin Newsom, 2 podcasts and a Substack do not. So they're basically talking about how the first podcast was a failure because nobody watched it. The second podcast, which was supposed to be him interviewing Republicans and becoming more conservative, was also a failure. No one wanted to watch it, but was controversial and hurt him with the Democrat voters. Now he's gone to a liberal platform, Substack. And is doing little video clips there that are incendiary and dishonest. He says he's on Substack to, quote, combat misinformation. It's like the devil saying that he's opening up a Bible study school. No, it's not credible. But let me get to the polling. Here's the headline. Newsweek. Gavin Newsom's chances of becoming 2028 Democratic nominee surge, according to new poll. And it's all in the light of the riots. This is the latest polling by Morning Consult. And it's only of Democrat voters, okay? So these are not independent or Republican voters for a general election. And I'll tell you why that's important in just a moment. Kamala Harris still has a lead, but Newsom's support is up to 11% of respondents from 5%. That's more than doubling. And that's just not a margin of error. That is real growth with Gavin Newsom standing amongst Democrat primary 2028 presidential voters. Gavin Newsom's dishonest, dangerous, reckless stunts that are at your expense are benefiting him politically, which means, buckle up, boys and girls, he's going to continue to do bad things. It's going to get even worse. This is like a crack addict that's had his first hit. He's like, oh, I get what they want. They want me to be crazy. The left wing of my party needs me to be crazy. Light my hair on fire. Orange man bad. Stir up riots. Put police officers and federal law enforcement agents in harm's way. That's the ticket. 11%. Doesn't matter who gets hurt in the process. Harris is down a couple ticks, 36 to 34%. I consider to project that Harris's numbers will continue to fall the more we get away from the 2024 election. Buttigieg went down 10 to 7%. AOC went up a bit, 5 to 7%. 26% said someone else, 16% unsure. Now, these polling numbers will change. They're fluid. There's a long runway between now and the actual Democrat race for president in 2028. But Newsom sees these growth areas, and he's like, okay, let's do more of this. So just buckle up. It's going to be bad. And it's not the only poll showing growth for Newsom. Here's another one. This is aggregate polling. Newsom moves up in aggregate polling from to fourth place in combined poll averages. He was at 8.2% in the aggregate polling, and prior polling numbers had him down in the 4 and 5% range. This article also mentions the poll I just mentioned, Morning Consult. Here's the issue for Newsom. The more he goes crazy now, it will boost his chances of becoming the nominee for president in 2028 of the Democrats, although I still predict he won't. He won't be the nominee. Because Democrats, they're not going to like a lot of the things that he has done in terms of the footsie. And his record in California is atrocious. He does come across as very inauthentic. And Democrat primary voters are very interested in the real crazy. They want to know that you're not just crazy, but you're really crazy and you mean it. Like AOC or Ilhan Omar level crazy. And I don't see Newsom being a shoo-in here. He could be the nominee, but I think he has a lot of bumps in the road, particularly because he's male, pale, and stale, baby. I mean, remember, the Democrat Party is the party of identity politics. Oh, I know. They moved everyone around so that the old white guy, Biden, could get it in 2020. But this party is insistent on the identity politics card. That's why they didn't move Kamala Harris aside for Gavin Newsom in 2024. They couldn't. The base wouldn't allow it. And I don't think the base is going to say, oh, yeah, let's go with another male, pale, and stale guy in the 2028 cycle. Another thing that he's got a problem with, speaking of polling, is his unfavorability rating here in the state of California. Do you approve of the job that Gavin Newsom is doing? 54% disapprove, 44% approve. I knew it was a 10-point delta. Do you disapprove of the way or approve? 44% approve, 54% disapprove. In a blue state, Gavin Newsom being 10 points underwater, double digits, with a 54% disapproval ratings, this is significant. It is huge. And typically when people are like, meh, he's kind of okay, they go to the don't know category or neutral. But no, people are definitely not approving of Newsom's job. And so that means that there's a substantial number. If you look at the crosstabs, there's a chunk of Democrats that don't like what he's doing. More than 30% don't like what he is doing. So this is not a good ranking for Gavin Newsom, particularly amongst Democrat primary voters who know him well, who know him the best. The California voters know him the best. And even in California, he's headed down. But he's not worried about California. You don't mean anything to him. California votes later in the cycle, and he thinks that he's popular enough to do well enough in California. He's out there shilling for votes nationwide, which means that he needs attention. He's like the little kid throwing a temper tantrum, jumping up and down, getting attention from all the adults. And he's going to continue to do that reckless behavior. He's going to continue to lie. He's going to continue to inflame and put people at risk because he doesn't care about you. He cares about himself. Always has been that way. And it's just becoming more and more clear. At Reform California, we are leading the fight to not only hold Gavin Newsom accountable, but to take back our state from far left insanity. We're going to need your help. Our top priority in this election, besides recruiting, training, supporting, endorsing, and hopefully winning with candidates on every part of the ballot, we are getting voter ID qualified for the 2026 election. We need to get 1 million signatures. And to do that, we need your help. So go to the website, reformcalifornia.org, sign up, chip in a contribution. By the way, 84% of you are not subscribed to this channel. You would help us greatly if you would just click that subscription button, smash the subscribe button, and of course, click notifications so you're notified every time we have a new episode. We usually post every weekday at 5 o'clock a new episode on California news and politics, and it helps us get the word out there to voters what's really going on in our crazy state. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. But before you click away, please subscribe to this channel and click that notification button so you get updated when we post new episodes. Plus, like this video and share it with your friends so that we can help spread our message across the state. Reform California with Carl DeMaio is paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly.